Joining me for more on this is Foreign Affairs Analyst Kelechi Deca. Good to have you join us on World Now. Now, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo president are meeting, but M23 rebels are absent. How far-reaching could the resolutions be?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I think that the best thing first is that there is a kind of thaw, and that the two leaders have agreed to meet. And whether the M23 is not there or not, first and foremost, they've started the process towards peace negotiations. And this is the first time that the two leaders have agreed to meet over this in a long time. And I also, I like the role Qatar is playing. Qatar is heavily invested in the region. But be that as it may, I think this is a right step in the right direction. First, get the two warring sides to stay together. Getting Etienne Tshisekedi and Paul Kagame to sit and discuss is a very good move in the right direction, even if the outcome might not be as we expect. But let's start the talk first.
All right, and we're yet to hear about how the ceasefire, which is expected to be both immediate and unconditional, had been monitored or enforced. Will this not in some way hamper its effectiveness?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we have to. It's a very intricate issue. What's happening there is somehow quite intricate and quite complex. The complexity is so huge that a lot of people do not understand. First, there is an ethnic issue, and apart from ethnic issue, there is also an economic issue. Then there is also a political issue. All these things come together to form a kind of huge, complex challenge that needs to be extricated one after the other to be able to get to the root of this matter. But I don't think it's something that could happen in the immediate or short term. I'm looking at a medium-term solution. But as I said, now that they have started, let's see how it's going to go. And by the time they get back, let's see how they're going to come up with how the ceasefire agreement is going to be monitored, or how the ceasefire agreement is going to be implemented. And that also, if Paul Kagame and the challenge he's having with the European powers, especially Belgium, he made a statement yesterday concerning the role Belgium is playing in that. And, he's got a diplomatic relationship with Belgium, which I also think might affect the ceasefire agreement.
All right, and we know that the M23 rebels have hinged their withdrawal from the peace talks on the European Union sanctions on leaders of the rebel group. So do you see Rwanda able to prevail on them to actually cease fire?
Yeah, the problem there is that Rwanda, first and foremost, is trying to clear its name that is the one that is behind the problems. Over the last few months, Rwanda has had a lot of altercations, not even just with Congo, but with a lot of other countries in the region, and also notably South Africa. They've had a lot of issues with South Africa. And now the problematic aspect of what's happening in Central Africa is that the world is at a stage whereby we are facing a kind of deglobalization, whereby a lot of people are left to their own mess, and people are just left there with what's happening in the US, with what's happening in Russia, and what's happening in the Ukraine and the European Union. The kind of world we are seeing now, everybody is going back to their own shell. And that's why if you start a problem within your own area, nobody's going to pay a lot of attention to you. So it is in the interest of the people there, both the M23, the Congolese, and also the Rwandese, that they come to an agreement and come to a ceasefire, because the level of human catastrophe that's happening there is so unthinkable. It's also highly unreported. I hope Rwanda will be able to put pressure on the M23 to come to the negotiation table, even if it is for few weeks of ceasefire, so that the humanitarian activities in that area could go on.
Talking about humanitarian activities, there is already a lot of destruction and more than 7 million people have been displaced by the violence. How easy or difficult do you think the rebuilding process would be, considering you've mentioned that different factors, political, ethnic, and even economic?
It's going to be hard as long as you have huge presence of illegal miners in that region. We should not, divorce the role mining and Congo's huge natural resource wealth is playing in this crisis. It is the major reason that is fueling the crisis. And as long as you have a lot of foreign interest, a lot of illegal interests that are mining in that region, it will be very hard to manage the influx and of refugees and the highly displaced people in that area. And Congo is one of the largest countries in Africa. It is so large that people living in the capital city hardly get to know what's happening in some of the regions. And there are a lot of geographical impediments that makes it hard for even the humanitarian workers, for UN agencies to be able to access a lot of people. A lot of places in that country is highly inaccessible. So it's very hard for them to get to those areas. But if Rwanda will be able to put a lot of pressure on the M23, I think they will make way for humanitarian activities to be able to pass through some of these areas. But it's huge, and it's made even worse now with the level of paucity of fund where we have globally, especially for some of these humanitarian agencies.
Foreign Affairs Analyst Kelechi Deca, thank you very much for your time on World Now.
Thank you.